James is looking for a second date update with a woman named Nicole, and we're going to try to make that happen for him. Hey, James, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Excellent. So let's start from the beginning. How did you meet Nicole, and how did that first date go?
Yeah. So I met her online, which at this point is pretty much the way I meet women, like the only way. Like, I'm not one of those guys who's just going to walk up to somebody in public, like, you know, grocery store, at a bar, or whatever. I don't have that in me. I'm pretty shy, pretty awkward, I guess. I don't know. I'm just not comfortable with it. But when I have time to, like, actually, you know, gather my thoughts and write out what I want to say, like in a message or a text or whatever, I feel like I do a lot better. I'm more myself. I'm not as nervous or anxious. Mm-hmm. And then once I finally get a chance to meet people, then I feel like from the messages, the back and forth, like I actually kind of know them already. And so it gets over that awkwardness. I'm just more comfortable, right?
Sure.
Makes sense.
So after, sorry, but that was the long buildup. But basically, like, after going back and forth with her for a couple weeks, we finally set up a date and we got together for dinner. And, you know, when I saw her, she's much more attractive in person than she was in her photos. And you know, she was very pretty in her photos, right? But then when she actually showed up, I was just like, I was really taken aback. Like I was rattled, and I felt like it took me a minute to recover from that. And I feel like I did. I don't know if I honestly did. But I felt like, you know, we had a great time. We had a good rapport.
So did that send you into goof phase again? Like when you laid eyes on her, you're like, whoa, wow, she actually is, you know, pretty stunning. Did that make you nervous again or send you back into that sort of awkward state that you...
Yeah. I felt like all the groundwork that I had done by messaging, so getting over my own anxieties, was all out the window when she walked in. And I was just like, you're like, what? Look at this, you know.
Well, that's a nice surprise, isn't it?
It is. It's the best kind of problem to have, right?
Right. Okay.
So you're on a date with a really attractive woman.
Right.
So we had a great time. We talked a lot about just all kinds of topics. And she has a great sense of humor. She's pretty sarcastic, which I appreciate. It's just more fun, you know. It just her comments on things and the night and the wave, just different stuff. And so that was fun. And we ended up being at the restaurant it was about 2 hours, I guess, which is, you know, that's a nice time.
Sure.
And afterwards I was just, you know, I said, well, you know, we're having such a great time. You want to go and maybe we can get another drink somewhere or whatever. And she said that she actually had something to do. She had to go home, and, you know, it was a work-related thing. And it felt totally sincere, right? It didn't feel like she was blowing me off. And
like you believed her that she really had this thing going on and she wasn't just trying to get away from you?
Yeah, like it felt like something, like she had something to do for work. And
yeah,
and I feel like in my dating career, I know what it feels like to be blown off at this point.
You've been blown off enough times to know
when it's really happening.
What that really is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My blow-off meter did not even register this at all.
Oh.
Yeah. So
she must be very good.
Well, I've got a lot of experience.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a nice hug, and then she said that she'd see me later, and then off she went. End of the night.
Okay.
So, you know, it was a good night. And then I've texted her a few times. I think it was like 3 times. And I've reached out and just radio silence. She hasn't gotten back to me at all. And I'm kind of bummed. I'm confused. Like, what happened, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. And, well, yeah, his blow-off meter didn't go off, and you don't recall any awkward moments other than just that initial meeting when you discovered how drop-dead gorgeous she was.
Stunner.
Yeah. Which you would think that's like a compliment, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
But no, it's like you said, though. I mean, if you guys hung out for a couple of hours, it's not like she was in any hurry to get out of there.
Exactly. Yeah, it wasn't like she had some like fake phone call from a friend set up, like, call me at 8:30 to get me out of this.
Yeah.
It was just, we had a great night, and then at the end, she, had something to do, which is totally reasonable.
Totally cool.
Yeah. All right.
All right, buddy. Well, let's do this. Why don't we take a break, and
All right.
when we come back, we'll call Nicole, see what her deal is.
All right.
Find out what she thought of her date with you and whether or not there's any possibility of getting together again. And hopefully, maybe this turning into something more. Who knows? But before we put the cart before the horse, we'll take a break and come back with second date update on Cincinnati's Q102. Hang on. James met Nicole online, which is just fine with James because he tends to be a little shy and it takes him time to develop a rapport with people. And I think developing that rapport online is helpful to James because when he finally does meet that person, there's less tension there and it feels less awkward. So when they finally got together and had dinner, it was good. They had a great time. They had a lot to talk about. It was fun, and he loved her sense of humor. She's a bit sarcastic. They hung out for a couple of hours. After a great dinner, he invited her out for drinks. She could not hang out longer for drinks because I guess she had some work-related thing that she had to get to. But after that was over, he reached out, texted, and he's not heard back from her since. Radio silence was the term he used.
Yeah.
So here we are. So what we're going to do here is call Nicole and see what she thought of James and her date with him, and maybe she can shed some light on why she's suddenly become shy.
Hello,
Hi, can we speak to Nicole, please?
this is her.
Hey, Nicole, it's Jeff and Jenn at Q102. How are you?
I'm good.
Have we ever spoken with you before?
No.
Okay. It's just there was a touch of familiarity in your voice, and I didn't know if we had spoken to you before. But if you're not familiar with our show, do you ever have a chance to listen?
I have had a chance to listen.
Okay, then you probably have a pretty good idea what this is then.
Oh. Is it a second date update?
It is a second date update.
Oh.
Have you blown off someone recently?
I wouldn't say blown off per se. Oh, gosh.
By the way, let me just also preface this by saying you are under no obligation to see someone again if a date doesn't go well, but to just completely ghost and not, you got to know that they're going to be curious, and that's just going to drive some people nuts, and they're going to want to know like what happened, especially if they felt that the date went really well.
I know, but it's also 2019, and I feel like if you just don't hear from someone, you might get the point.
Oh, so is that kind of a given now in 2019?
I didn't mean for that to like come out as bad as it sounded.
No, but I know what you mean. But we spoke with James.
Yeah.
So James said that he thought you guys had a great date. You hung out for a couple of hours. He invited you out for drinks later. He said you had a work thing, which he thought at the time sounded legit. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe you were blowing him off. Maybe you did have a work thing. I don't know.
It was legit. I did have a work thing, which was great.
Okay. But evidently he reached back out, tried to contact you, and that's when you went radio silent. So what's going on? What's the deal with James?
Okay. If he wants to know, we can have that conversation on the radio.
Now I'm really curious.
Okay. So apparently, while he was in high school, he had some sort of hockey stick incident and suffered a major injury. And in his own words, he lost a nut.
Oh.
Sorry, that's not funny. I don't mean to laugh. It's just the way you phrase that.
And it just flew off the tongue.
You said just kind of blurted this out.
It was a hockey injury?
Yeah, I don't know.
my
Something
God.
with a hockey stick. I don't play hockey. I don't watch hockey, so I don't know. It makes me uncomfortable just to talk about it, which made me uncomfortable when he talked about it
Oh, God. I can just.
very often throughout the evening.
Oh, he kept bringing this up.
Yeah. Like we'd talk about something unrelated, and he'd comment like, I'm hanging in the middle, or going off. or like going off half bald. And I was like, it's great that he has a sense of humor about it. And yes, we have been, texting for quite some time, but this is, first impressions are everything. And I just met him, and this is what he chose to focus on.
That does give you quite a visual when he says he's hanging in the middle, doesn't it?
Oh, God, yes.
You immediately picture it.
And the guys with balls are laughing, so I feel like it's okay that I can laugh about it, too.
We're not laughing at what has happened to him. We're laughing at the way that he talks about it.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. That's awful, really.
Well, but you still got one, right? James?
One is better than none. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm working off of James's energy here. If you've got a sense of humor about it and you're framing it that way and you're putting it out there that way, let's talk about that, James.
Did I really mention it that much?
Yeah.
I don't remember talking about it that much, but I mean, this is hard. I think I was just really nervous because, I was really into you. I really liked you. And women have had issues with this situation in the past. I've had 2 different women break up with me because they were afraid that I wouldn't be able to get them pregnant. And they really wanted kids. And I know that we were on a first date. I understand that. But, before I get in too deep with somebody and get my heart broken, I just want to make sure that people are aware of the situation. So maybe I didn't handle it right. Maybe I overdid it. And I'm sorry if I did, if I made you uncomfortable. It's just...
I would think that'd be hard to gauge in the moment,
Yeah.
You want to be upfront and honest about it, I guess, but...
Then the nerves, and you're just talking casual talking, and then it's like, I got one ball. Oh, I'm a dude. I'm saying things.
It's easy to fall down that rabbit hole.
It might have just been words coming out of my mouth. So is it my situation that kept you from responding, or is it just how awkward I was? What was it that made you stop responding?
A little bit of both.
All right.
It was just weird and uncomfortable, and I probably wouldn't have had an issue with it, but I was so distracted by all the, nutsack talk that I didn't have a chance to think about the baby thing. And honestly, I don't know if we're there yet to be discussing babies.
Yeah, I know. I might have jumped the gun.
That's just an impossible situation to find yourself in.
Because you definitely want to give a heads up before, the intimacy part, because you don't want somebody to be like, wait a minute,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I could see being mad, though, too. Like, why didn't you tell me this from jump?
Jeff,
Yeah.
didn't you have sex with a woman that was missing a finger and you didn't know she was missing a finger until you were in the middle of the act and it was very just distracting for you in the moment? Was that you or someone else?
You're crisscrossing 2 different stories. I can't even go into it.
She was missing an arm, right?
No.
I noticed.
No.
Wait, that was a different second date update?
No,
It's all blurring
about
together.
Jeff. I think that Jeff's got a couple personal
No, I had a
stories.
roommate who was missing a thumb or was just never born with one. And I had been roommates with her for months before I finally noticed one day. I'm like, did you know?
You asked her if she knew?
Do you know you don't have a thumb on your left hand?
Did you?
Oh, God.
How many months? So
It
observant.
was just, well, it was just 6 months.
This is not funny.
It's funny because it's so Jeff. And then what happened in the middle with somebody?
Oh, my God.
Well, it was discovered that
Discovered.
Oh, Lord.
one of her breasts she had an implant in one of her breasts.
Okay.
Yeah. And it wasn't cancer, but I forget what the condition was or why she had to do that. It might have been something she was born with. And so
it might have just one was a lot bigger than the other and she wanted to even it out. That's a pun.
So,
Oh, my God.
This one's a lot different than this one over here.
huh.
Oh, God. I hope we're not being insensitive, and I
Oh, I think
apologize
we are,
if we
I'm sure.
are. It's never the situation that's funny. It's people's reactions to it. I mean, you just have to laugh at Oh my God. Just people don't know what to do when some of these things just pop up in their lives. And it's the unexpected. You're in the middle of doing something that you do every day, and then you see something for the first time or experience something that you've never experienced before, and
you don't know how to act.
And you just don't know what to do. Yeah. And it feels like no matter what you do, it's the wrong thing.
Correct.
And it's the inappropriate thing. And it's just this just part of being human that we all experience, the awkwardness.
Yes. Agreed. Totally.
So, Nicole, is there something James could have done that would have made that, like, how would you suggest to James in the future?
In the future, I think maybe like get more comfortable with the person before you share that information, because it made me uncomfortable. Gotcha. And also the fact that you kept bringing it up, I imagine it feels like some sort of insecurity.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Just wait a little while, because you freaked me out, and so
I'm so sorry. Can I
wish you the best
Nicole,
of luck, though.
When I met you, when you walked in the room, you were so stunning that I got uncomfortable and awkward, and I am self-conscious about this, and so I apologize if I made you uncomfortable. So
thank you.
I'm sorry about that.
And I'm sorry also.
I'm bummed that you two aren't going to get together again. I really am.
But, hey, you know what? We appreciate, Nicole, your honesty and for filling us in on what was going on there. I know that James really appreciates that. And James, you're a good sport, man. We really appreciate you putting yourself out there and allowing us to have this conversation on the air. I think a lot of people can benefit from this.
Yeah, I appreciate everything, guys. And sorry it didn't work out, but have a great day, guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you take care. Good luck.
You got it. And Nicole, thank you for taking the call and for coming on Second Date Update. Best of luck to you both.
No problem. Thanks.
All right, take it easy.
Thanks for listening